talk to me a little bit about how the show has evolved and its preoccupations. I mean, Tony tells a story about the Beirut episode, which I'd love you to tell, but I'm actually interested in that from your point of view, that I assume you were in New York, Lydia.
Yes.
When that all happened. I mean, people probably may not be familiar, but tell us about, from your perspective, Tony's off with the crew, shooting a show in Beirut, and what happens?
Yeah, I mean, they were, I think, 2 days, we shot for 2 days when, they were capturing the show that they had gone to get. And then at a certain point, all hell broke loose, Hezbollah, and there was a huge skirmish that happened, and fighting and shooting, and the crew, we had heard from the ground, like, shit was going down, and we needed to move the crew. Chris had a conversation with Tony, which Tony may not recall, but Tony's like, oh, we're fine here. It's going to be a great part of the show. Don't worry. Meanwhile, we were obviously concerned if things start to implode, how are we going to get them all out of there? Well, of course, things did implode. And we ended up having to hire a private security guy whose name will remain nameless, who basically had to usher the crew from point A to point B. But it was actually probably the first of several different things that have happened over the course of the last 17 years where, you're grappling with the imminent danger or the potential for danger on the ground there. Certainly Congo. Libya, yeah. Where, you're sending a crew now into a dangerous situation, and, they're all unbelievably skilled and experienced, but, you have that sick feeling at the pit of your stomach. And that was certainly the case with Beirut. I mean, they were trapped there. There was no way to get them out. I think the airport had been bombed. So we had to figure out a circuitous route, and it took some time. But yeah, that was scary.
What was it like for you, Tony?
I mean, we'd finished shooting for 2 days, a food show. What was still then a travel and food show. That's what we did. That was our thing. And I'm sitting with the crew after a day shooting. There had been, Israeli jets had been buzzing the nightclub before. We knew about Hezbollah, what had happened. They'd killed, I believe, killed or kidnapped, I'm not sure. I think killed two Israeli soldiers along the border. Things were clearly heating up at the Beirut. The people in Beirut, our friends were like, no, it's no, we've been through this before. We got generators, it's all right. So we're all sitting there drinking out of the mini bar in my room, and in come the missiles, and boom goes the airport. And our crew, all our local crew, one after the other, peel off for the Syrian border. They say, I'm sorry, we're leaving you. And we're left there. And we were relocated by Mr. Wolf, as we called him, and his awesome, he was an he portrayed himself as, James Bond. He was more like Maxwell Smart, in my view. But his wife was this very cold, stone cold, very capable Yemeni woman who, if anybody was packing heat, it was her. And she was the one who did all the evasive driving to get us from one place to another in the middle of the night. She was amazing. But anyway, we ended up holding up in a hotel, reasonably comfortable, looking out from the pool for a week, waiting for the Marines to get us off the beach, watching this beautiful city that we had really come to love in just 2 days, pounded back 20 years.
And you could literally see it from the pool.
You could see neighborhoods going up. You'd go to sleep every night, wake up every day to the rolling, boom, boom, boom. There was something shameful in this, I felt, that we were safe, reasonably safe. We're in an embassy area, in a hotel with a lot of Westerners. There was a sense that nothing will happen to us. Yeah, we were concerned about our being in touch with our families. Make a long story short, when we got off the beach, I was determined to not make a show about this. I thought it would be grotesque to go back. We'd shot everything because there was nothing to do but stay in a hotel. We only got off base at once after throwing something of a shit fit. But I just thought, we are not journalists. We have a happy horse shit travel and food show. Something really awful is happening here. We left in LCUs, the Marine Corps, in boats filled with sobbing Lebanese Americans who'd come back to Beirut after leaving during the Civil War to rebuild, and now their lives were destroyed all over again. I remember going back to the office and saying, whatever we do, we're not making a show about this. It would be vile and disgusting and morally wrong. And Chris and Lydia said, look, let's just put together some footage, and we'll interview you, and you talk about what you saw and what if. And I said, okay, I'll look, and we started putting something together. They put something together, and I started writing to it. And for me, I guess the big break moment was always, every show I've ever done, there was always a sum up at the end. You know, there was always maybe we've learned something today. Hopefully at some point we can all live together. This was the grimmest, angriest, most hopeless thing I'd ever written at the end of a show. It was something about maybe the good and the bad together, we will all be crushed under the same terrible wheel. End of show. And we sent this into the Travel Channel. You know, right after, world's largest, meatball sandwich. And I was really proud of that, to just drop this very honest but deeply depressing, without hope show. And from that point on, it changed everything for me. I would never again ignore the elephant in the room. I would never write another happy horse shit closer or a stupid sum up if I could avoid it. If there's somebody missing a limb in the room in Laos, you know what? I'm going to ask them, gee, what happened here? And if they tell me a long and complicated story about the secret war in Laos, you know what? That scene is now going to be about that. It just seemed obscene to me, given what I'd seen in Beirut, to keep coming back to food, just food, and just travel, or to ever do anything but point of view and tell people how I felt at the moment. So everything changed after that, and we all did.
Mm-hmm.